Hello and welcome to Inside Music, episode number 146. I'm your host, James Shotwell, and it's great to be with you again. I wish I could say I was having a good day or even an okay day, but it's honestly pretty rough over here, and I think a lot of people in the alternative community can relate. Yesterday, February 3rd, the news broke that Tim Landers of the band Transit, Misser, On and Off, and Cold Collective passed away. Details of Tim's passing are not too well known at this point, but a social media post from his partner revealed that after being sober for the better part of the last year, Tim had one slip up and it cost him his life. And honestly, it's just heartbreaking. Nobody Tim's age, in his early 30s, I believe, should be losing their life. He's too young to go, and I feel like all too often in music the last year or so, we've been having this conversation. We've been losing brilliant young minds to the battle of addiction, to the disease of addiction, and we are not doing enough to deal with it. And I don't mean that as an insult to anyone that was close to Tim, his family, his friends, his bandmates. I believe all of them did everything in their power to be there for him, to support him, and to help him. But as a nation, as a global community, as a species, we need to be doing more to not only address addiction, understand addiction, but to be empathetic towards people who are going through the struggle of addiction. All too often, those caught in that battle seclude themselves from others. They internalize all of their problems. They think that nobody cares or that people are going to look down on them because of the things they're going through. And as a result, they feel isolated and alone, and it's devastating. I loved everything Tim created musically, but what I hate the most in this moment in losing him isn't the fact that there isn't going to be another record that he had a part in coming out in the world. It's that his mind, his presence is gone from us, and that hurts more than any lost recording ever could. When I was thinking about Tim's passing yesterday, it dawned on me that he had been a guest on the show, and I didn't think of it at first because I'd actually interviewed Tim several times over the last decade in my work in music journalism, but only one time did he appear on the show, and that was in June of 2015 as he was promoting the full-length debut from his band On and Off. Tim came on a show that had two guests, Michael McCarran from Punk Out being the first, and then the conversation with Tim, and I thought now, perhaps more than any other period, was a great time to revisit that conversation. And you heard me a second ago, I said 2015. It was episode 36. We're now 110 episodes past that point. But I felt like in this moment, when people are missing Tim, when people are wishing they knew more about him, when they want to feel that closeness that his music and his interviews and his general demeanor allowed them to feel, that would be a good time to share this conversation with all of you. So what I've done is I've gone back to that episode. I removed the introduction. I removed Michael's part of the interview, and what we have left is 20-ish minutes with Tim Landers speaking his mind on creativity, music, and a whole lot of other topics. And I was really proud of this moment in the podcast history, not just because I was a huge fan of Tim and happy to have him on the show, but even 36 episodes in, I wasn't 100% sure what Inside Music was going to be. I didn't know what it was going to become. And having this chat really helped me focus in. I felt like we found the groove of the show through conversations like this one with Tim. And I can never thank him enough for that. And now I won't have the opportunity to thank him in person. But I hope wherever he is that he feels peace and he knows that his music and the things he gave each of us through his art and through his time that he gave us when we wanted to talk to him, that's going to live on. That's going to influence generations of people in ways that none of us can even imagine at this point in time. So I'm going to skip the introduction. We're not going to do the Holics plugs or anything. I just want you to sit back, relax, and enjoy this conversation with Tim Landers. Rest in peace. I am excited to have you on the show today. Are you in New England right now?
I am.
Awesome. I guess we could have probably met up because I live in Brighton.
Oh, do you really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I live right outside in the suburbs.
Oh, that's awesome. Did you grew up around here?
Yeah, I grew up in Stoneham, Massachusetts, 10 miles north of the city.
Awesome. That's
I always like to meet people who grew up here and in the scene here because I'm somebody that was like a transplant from Michigan to New England. And I remember growing up and being like so jealous of people who got to grow up in the New England music scene. So whenever I meet someone, I'm always like, tell me all of your stories. What was it like to be here when Have Heart was around?
It was okay. I mean, I was young, so it was like kind of scary sometimes. you know,
Yeah.
it's like some shows like we definitely couldn't go to because we would get beat up. But it was definitely awesome. I really do miss the hardcore scene around here because it used to be such like a prominent thing, and I can't even like think of a band around here that's like hardcore anymore.
Yeah, I had that thought the other day. Like, I moved out here for work eventually, but I remember being young and like always wanting to come to Boston because the hardcore scene was like to me what defined the American hardcore for so long. And these days, yeah, it just after I moved out here like 4 or 5 years ago now, and I think since then I've never seen that scene. I'm always like, I guess it's just part of history now.
Right? Totally.
Yeah, I mean, even when they do like, I know we have the Boston Music Awards, but in like 4 years of attending, we've never nominated a hardcore band, so I just assume that they don't exist anymore.
No true.
No
I don't.
truth.
I don't even really know because it's like sometimes you can make that argument and say that like they don't exist anymore, they're too hard to find now, and then like someone will bring someone up and you'll be like, I guess you're kind of right, but it's just like it's totally not as prominent as it was, and that's like the sad part.
Yeah, it's weird. But it kind of plays into what I'm excited to talk to you about because you're off doing Off and On right now, which is pretty much the opposite of everything that's ever been like the New England sound, whether it be like indie rock or pop or anything. And I find that so interesting. Like this part of the country is so known for various sounds, and then you come along and we're like, well, let's try something different.
Yeah, it's kind of like what I always deep down inside wanted to do is to make something different. Because like, from my from my perspective, my favorite bands have always been bands that have like totally changed everything. Like Rage Against the Machine, like a band that will take a genre and like turn it into something totally new, but also like make it like a huge statement doing it, and just like because Rage Against the Machine, in my perspective, is like a part of history as much as they were a band. Just like with the movement that and the different movements that they would create
Definitely.
and start. But so I don't know. I always wanted to do something that was really special and could be remembered like that. I mean, granted, I don't ever want to be as political as Rage Against the Machine. I don't know, and I think it's hard to do that unless you do something completely different and something totally new. So I don't know. I just kind of started getting into different music was when I was older, as I got older, and that's kind of where Off and On came from. And yeah, I don't know. Like growing up, I played in hardcore bands, I played in punk bands. Like I had a blast doing that. I still love all of that music. I just it wasn't really what I wanted to make anymore.
Yeah, so let's go back to the inception point for this whole like project of yours. So Off and On begins at the end of 2013, right? So like where like what kicks things off? Is it you? Does someone come to you and say they want to be in a project? Like what's the very beginning?
So it came from me and Rosie, who's like was one of the other main singers in Off and On. She we went to high school together, and
Okay.
she's always been a very, very talented singer and actress. And when she graduated, she was a couple years older than me. She went to school to do musical theater, and she moved down to New York for a little bit and was a pretty successful actress in like the musical theater world. She did some off-Broadway plays, did some really crazy stuff, traveled around with that. Well, I was playing in my old band doing that. And then we both kind of got to a point where we started talking again, and I was like writing some weird like pop songs and asked her to sing on them because I needed like a female vocalist, and it went really well, and we hit it off pretty well. Just like after never really actually working together and just talking about it throughout our friendship. So that was kind of in the back of our minds, and then we just hung out a few more times. We were just talking about how neither of us were really happy with what we were doing, so we decided to start Off and On, and then Kelly just went from there.
So when you started Off and On, like, did you already have in your head that like, okay, you're gonna walk away from transit at the top of next year? Like, were you already kind of getting your foot out the door at that point, or was that not even on your brain yet?
I was at a point in my life where I literally had no idea what I was doing.
Okay. I think we all hit that
I was
point.
just, yeah, exactly. I was just not, I wasn't happy, and I wasn't really sure what I wanted. So I was kind of just pursuing opportunities as they presented themselves to see where it would take me and see if I could make myself happy. It was a really weird time. I didn't know that was going to happen. No, I can't say that I didn't want it to happen. I think deep down inside, but it was yeah, like I said, it was kind of just a strange, like vulnerable point for me.
Oh, no, definitely. It seems that way, and I think it's kind of clear in the music that you've kind of been doing over the last year. Like it's very honest, and it kind of seems to address like a lot of. I think part of what makes Off and On work is there's this sense of like a lot of ideas kind of battling together at the same time through a lot of the songs. And I don't know if maybe
Yeah,
that's intentional or not, but I think it kind of like parallels what you're describing a little bit.
yeah, totally. I can see that.
So when let's I know the band's just dropped this new record that's volumes 1 and 2, but the first volume came out last year. So when did you guys actually record? Like when did you start working on that? Like how long after the band started did you decide to record and everything?
So the weird thing is, the recording kind of came with the band starting because over the past year, I guess the past couple of years, I had like built a little studio at home, and with the beginning of Off and On, I wanted to start learning how to record and produce stuff for some reason, which was something that I never thought I would want to do, but I ended up really falling in love with it. So the way that we would write those songs, most of them would kind of just be like, I would show like a track or like a part of a track to everyone else, be like, hey, like I have this idea, and then we'd start recording vocals over it, start adding other things, and from there, like we kind of already had the song almost recorded. So in some situations, that written like blueprint is what is actually on the record. In other instances, we just recorded the whole thing again. But it's weird because the recording and the writing happens at the same time, which is a very interesting thing.
Yeah, I was very curious about it because I'm pretty sure I heard the EP when it came out last year, but I didn't really hear it. I don't think I sat down and really spent a lot of time with it until I got part one and part two together. And then I kind of went back and listened to the first half separately because I think the two pieces work really nice together. These two releases worked very well together. But then when I go back to the first one and I was like, oh, I don't know. It kind of took me a while to come around to it because it is so different. I don't know why, but when you hear like a musician that you're already familiar with is working on something new, you get this weird like, oh, it'll be something like this. And then when it's not that thing, it kind of takes your brain a little bit longer to be like, oh, okay, I guess we can.
Yeah,
Yeah, we have to like reclassify it in our heads and be like, oh,
yeah,
that's fine.
it's totally like a 180 from anything I've ever done before. But I guess I didn't really realize how different it was at first, but now I totally get it. I was just kind of like caught up in doing it, and I just like was having so much fun learning and doing it. And then I remember people being like, "Wow, this is really different," and me just being like, "Is it? I didn't even know." But
How,
sorry, go ahead.
that's all right. I was gonna ask, like, how is the creative process for this group versus the other projects that obviously there's Transit and there's Misser. Like, how are you still? Would you still say that you're like the point man in the situation in terms of writing and everything, or is it a little bit more constructive? Because I know that you aren't necessarily the front man this time around. You might be the person that people recognize the fastest, but you're not necessarily like the focal point of the band by any means.
Yeah, totally. It's I guess it's similar. In most of the projects I've been in, I have been like the one who does the majority of the songwriting, at least especially for me and for this. It's just this is a different style of writing because it's like rather than just guitar, bass, and drums, it's like guitar, some hip hop drums, some vocal samples. So it's like it's definitely I guess I would say I write in the same way. It's just with a different variety of tools. So I don't know. I never really thought about it. That I mean, like, I definitely like will conceive songs the same way. Like anytime I'm writing, like it kind of just starts with like either a cool riff or like a cool melody or something, and something built around that. Like that doesn't change. But I guess it's just when I have a bunch of fun toys. For me, I make some weird music. I don't know. Hello?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah.
There we go. So let's fast forward a bit because you guys did the first EP on your own, and then this most recent one it comes out with through In the Clouds. So when did In the Clouds get involved in the Off and On business?
About probably 3-4 months ago.
Oh, so it's
They
still it's still pretty recent then.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we kind of just had a random conversation about doing something together, and we hadn't talked to any labels. So we just kind of made it happen. We wanted to have physical copies of our record, and putting the two of them together was actually really cool because the first one never got a proper release. So it was exciting to actually get the songs on hard copies.
No, I definitely agree, and they're such an interesting label. I'm always curious how people get to work with them. They're a label because I have a small label here in Boston, and In the Clouds is one of those record labels that they always seem to get the work with artists that I like as well. So I'm always like, oh, how did they beat me to the punch? Or like those smart bastards, they did something cooler than like what I was hoping to do. And like I respect them at the same time because they work with the Gay Blades, and I think what they do with their records is a lot cooler than what most record labels would do. And I'm always just like, well, I can't hate you because you do it so well. But
Yeah, right.
yeah.
That's funny. No, they do. I like how they do handmade copy records, and they do cool things. It's very nice.
Yeah,
It's hard to find people that will do that too, especially on such a smaller scale label. Just awesome.
now, were you initially always planning on doing like a label deal? I mean, In the Clouds isn't a traditional label as such, but they are still a record label. Like, did you ever think that? Did you have a goal of getting to a point where you worked with a label for this project, or was that just like, oh, what a good opportunity to do the physical thing?
With Off&On?
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess we never really had any goals from the get-go. We were kind of just seeing what could happen. When we finished the first EP, we really just wanted to put it out, so we just threw it online and did that on our own. But I mean, yeah, we definitely hope to. We want to do as much as we can with the project. So, I mean, we're definitely gonna look for opportunities to look with labels. We're gonna try and tour as much as we can. We just want to do whatever we can with it because I don't know. We're at a point now where we made something that we're pretty proud of. So we want to keep going.
Well, I can't be proud of it because I'm not involved in the band, but I'm a fan of it. So I'm a fan, and I want to see it keep going.
Thank you, man.
My favorite. I really have a thing for the song "No Friends," and I know you don't really have as prominent of a part on it as, but that's the track that I keep coming back to.
That's my favorite one.
Yeah. What is it to you that stands out about that song? Because I don't know anything about the backstory or anything like that, but it sticks with me. Like after I listen to it, I kind of want to start over because like it's catchy enough that like you kind of feel the melody in your head, but you can't. I don't necessarily like learn the words the first time through. So you have to keep going back, and you're like, okay, I'm going to learn a little bit more so I can get this thing out of my head.
Yeah, the coolest thing about that song is so when we were doing Good Talk Volume 2, we planned on just doing 3 songs. And that was a song that I wrote the demo for, and we were all like really pretty excited about it. And then we had finished the tracking for the other 3 songs, and we had someone lay down some vocals on it. And then one night we were just like, yo, because with the first 3 songs that are on the EP, we probably spent an accumulated 6 months recording them. It took a really long time because we all work full time. It's hard to get us all together at different weeks just because everybody's so busy, and then we would track and retrack and track, just trying to make it perfect. And then we had this song No Friends that was just a demo, and then we were like, yeah, this already is perfect. Why don't we just put this on the EP before we wait to put it on something else and overthink the shit out of it? And so that's what we did. And I mean, not even just because of the like attitude behind it with the way that we put it on the EP, but that song just stands out to me more than the others. I like that one a lot.
Yeah, I have to agree. I mean, I like both EPs. I like them together, but there's just something about that song that, like, if I were to just introduce your band to somebody new, like, that would be the track that I would be like, oh, this is what you have to hear. This is where you should start.
Yeah, I think it definitely. I think it might be because it's a nice balance of like the hip hop elements of our band and the indie elements of our band, and kind of everything just kind of is at a nice median in that one.
Mm-hmm. You guys just played at the Sinclair not long ago, right? Here in Boston.
Yes, we did.
Now, have you done a lot of live shows with Off and On? Because I haven't seen you. I mean, I feel like I keep up with what's going on in the city a lot, but I haven't seen a lot of shows with you. And I unfortunately didn't see the Sinclair show, but I've watched the videos online. But I was just curious how much you guys are performing live now.
We have been pretty much as we can. We've been trying to play Boston pretty much every week, every couple weeks. We've done 2 tours at this point. Yeah, 2 short tours. We did a tour back to Fashion Meets Music Fest in Ohio and back
Yep.
last year. And then we just did it was last month. We did a tour with our friends in the Box Tiger, just like pretty much Upper East Coast, and like kind of promotion for the EP and stuff. And then we pretty much take any Boston show we can get. The Sinclair was a really cool one because this is our friends in Defeater, which is a band that we literally couldn't mesh less with, but they asked us to play the show, and it was just really, really cool because we're all about playing weird shows and being the oddball out, so it's a good time for us.
No, definitely. It sounds like it. The Defeater's real good about bringing out bands that might challenge their listeners. They always strike me as a band that's like, we'll bring out a band for us. Like, this is a group that we are bringing out because we like them.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I've known those dudes since I was like 12, and they've always been that way and had that attitude. It's awesome.
That's all. No, that's great to hear, man. So let me ask you this, because you are a guy who's involved in a couple of things in music all the time. Would you say that Off and On is your main focus right now? Do you have a main focus?
I guess I would say my main focus is just making music and trying to maintain a way for me to continue making music. But yeah, Off and On is pretty much my forefront right now. I recorded a record on my own too, not too long ago, so it's pretty much been working primarily on Off and On and doing that on the side too.
Oh ho ho! What's the story with that release? Everyone's been asking for a new Misser release, and you went off and did something different again. I like it.
Yeah. I don't have like many details about it yet, but it's it's not like a solo record or anything. It's a rock record. It's kind of like I don't know how to describe it. It's kind of like a 90s-ish rock record with me singing on it. I played all the instruments and sang, other than I had my friend play drums, but yeah, it came out pretty cool. I'm finishing up now, so hopefully I'm going to be able to put that out soon. So yeah, it's just been like, I don't know, I like you said, like I work on a bunch of different stuff simultaneously, and I don't like to like, like people are always like side project. I kind of just like to do things, and I kind of just like to focus on all of them. I don't like to like pick one over the other, like I just like to. I feel like as a person, you have a lot of free time sometimes. You might as well just use it to your advantage and do as many things as you can.
No, I like that outlook, man. I think it's a good one. I was getting ready to when I called you earlier and then we didn't connect. I was like, let me just see what all of his different social networks are up to, and I went to the Misser Facebook page, and I think like the top like comment from somebody was just like, "Get your shit together, make new music." And I was like, he has not stopped making music.
Yeah,
It's,
I wish we could do some Mr. stuff. It's just it's always been really hard just because half the band is in California.
right?
I'm here, but we started writing some stuff a little while ago. Hopefully we'll get on that soon.
Well, I think what I find so impressive about you and your career up to this point is that you seem to have found a way to get to a place where you feel confident in doing whatever you want while at the same time coming across as like you don't really care if people get it. You're like, this is what interests me right now, and I admire that to a great extent. I don't know if you can really talk about how you reach that point, but it's something that I've just kind of really noticed over the last year or two, where I'm like, he just kind of goes in his own direction.
That's awesome. Thank you. I actually never really thought about it like that, because I mean, I would love for people to like the music that I make. I don't know if they will or not, but yeah, I mean, I don't really have it in me to try and do something that I don't want to do or that I don't believe in. So I tried that for a little while, and it just kind of took a lot out of me. I don't know. I don't think that's what music is about. So I try to maintain that.
Now, do you think you've always felt that way, or is that something you've kind of had to learn or like rationalize for yourself as you've kind of been so active in music over the last few years? Because you've kind of, you know, you've seen the best and the lowest sides of being like in the spotlight for being a musician. So I'm just curious, like, did you always have that mindset, or do you think you've kind of developed it over time?
I think I definitely always had it like imprinted in the back of me, but I think maybe during my life I might have had some moments of weakness where I could be more concerned about if people were going to like the music or not, and let that influence the songwriting. And that was like a very brief period, and I didn't really like it at all. It wasn't as fun. But yeah, and I think going through that definitely made me more confident in the fact that I just want to do what I believe in.
And you believe in having a good time with music. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah, I do.
There are so many people that have, there's that saying about how you have to be like miserable in some way to like be creative. And I always think that it's more like you have to just be like content, or at least confident in who you are. You don't necessarily have to be miserable. You just have to like be who you are. There's a difference.
Yeah, there's a huge level of comfort that needs to go into it. Like if you can't express yourself at all, you can't make music, you know?
Yeah.
And granted, there are some miserable people who have made some incredible music, but I think there's a lot more to it than that.
Yeah, I think I don't know, I feel like you can create something far more meaningful than just like tapping into like complex emotions that make people like think of something painful. Like there's a lot more to talk about, and there's a lot more to say, and you seem to be making a very conscious effort to do all of that instead, to like do the other stuff.
Awesome. Well, thank you, man.
Yeah, well,
you're making the start to my day feel a lot better.
Well, I'm glad, man. I've been listening to have you noticed that the city is essentially like constant construction right now because of all the snow melting and destroying the streets?
Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah. I've been like waking up to jackhammers for like a week and a half.
Jackhammers every day.
Yeah.
They've been cutting down trees around my neighborhood, so I just wake up to chainsaws every day. Not that great.
Yeah, no, so I'm glad that I started on a better leg. Well, let me ask you this: where can people find the music online? Like, where should people go to like keep up with everything you're up to, and then the Off&On stuff as well?
So the Off&On stuff, as of a couple days ago, is now available everywhere you can get it. iTunes, Spotify, all that fun stuff. All of our like stuff, like our Twitter and all that stuff, is at We Are Off&On, and then I think, and then our Facebook is Off&On Music, like Facebook.com/Off&On Music. But I think I might be wrong. I hope I'm not. But and then for any of my stuff, I'm just hopefully I'll be posting about more of it soon. But I like try to keep my like Twitter and Instagram pretty updated with music stuff, which is just at my name, Terrence Timothy. I've never said that out loud. That's really weird.
I didn't learn until this morning that there is another popular Tim Landers that is also from Massachusetts, who is also a famous musician.
Yeah, TimLanders.com. He's a bass player.
Yeah, I was just like, I don't remember him looking so old.
It's really funny because he kind of looks like he could be my dad or something.
For a second, I was like, what if he is? And I just didn't know.
Yeah, it's really funny. Yeah, I think he's like he's like a teacher at Berkeley or something. It's really weird. I remember finding out when I was a kid and just being like, no way.
You should definitely collaborate with him for something. Just Tim Landers featuring Tim Landers. Come on.
It's probably the best idea anyone's ever had.
It would throw people for such a loop. It would be so much fun. Like, oh, yeah, Tim's officially cracked. He's just featuring himself.
Love it.
All right, man. Well, I hope you have a good day. This has been a fun conversation. I think a lot of people are still discovering Off and On, and I hope that continues to be the case as you guys move forward. I want to see you live, so hopefully next time you're in the greater Boston area, I'll be aware of it.
Yeah, man. Just shoot me a text. We're actually playing at TT's.
Okay.
Which, I don't know if you heard they're closing, but we're playing one of the last shows that they're having. So that should be. I think it's next month. So I'll text you the info about it.
Yeah. All of that TT stuff is all like happening so fast. It's kind of hard to wrap my head around.
I know, it's such a sad thing. It's been like 47 years, but
we could we could do a whole nother podcast on that venue. Like it's importance. I don't know. I've had a lot of memories there.
Yeah, it's a special place, man.
Yeah, totally. And for everyone not in New England, maybe make the pilgrimage. It seems like Off and On are going to be there soon. Come out, see it before it's gone. A tiny hole in the wall club.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, it's a great place. Well, thanks so much, man, for coming on the show, and I wish you the best of luck in all your stuff you got going on right now.
All right, thanks, James. We'll keep in touch. I will hopefully talk to you soon.
All right, dude. Have a good day.
Thanks for having me, man.